6TR, the bright side of Staffordshire.
Ken Loach, congratulations first of all on your BAFTA win last week. You must be still on a high from that.
Well, they were very kind to us, and it was a good evening.
Yeah.
I mean, these ceremonies are quite funny because you have to dress up in your best, in your glad rags, and it has its comedy moments. But no, people were very generous.
Yeah, and of course the film I, Daniel Blake, has been well received, very thought-provoking from some, you brought in an unknown cast, Davy Johns of course, Hayley, who put on fantastic performances. How did they come about?
Well, I mean, next to the script, finding good people is the next biggest thing you've got to choose, and you want people that the audience will believe in. You know, you say you really believe this guy is 60-year-old chippy from Newcastle, and the girl is a single mum from London. So you just have to be rigorous, you know, and you say, if I saw these people in a documentary, would I believe them? So we just looked really hard, and I must say Hayley and Dave were terrific, really.
Yeah, Dave's a comedian. I think he's still out partying from what I've seen on social media. He's really enjoyed it. But no, the film itself, of course, it hits home with a lot of places like Stoke-on-Trent, because, you know, there is the food banks and the people on the breadline. There's people who are unable to work through illness and, of course, find themselves in this rut and this position. So that's something you researched, was places like Stoke-on-Trent.
Yes, we came to Stoke, and we went to many towns. I started with my hometown in Nuneaton. Was the first place we went. We went to London, we went to northwest, northeast, Scotland, went to 8 or 9 different cities and towns, and you hear the same stories everywhere. I mean, we could have done it anywhere, really.
Yeah, but your films are known for the realism, and did this shock you, what you saw when you were researching this film?
Well, it was a sense of shock that drew us to the subject, just hearing stories. But when you actually go and look at it firsthand, it is shocking. It's shocking for 2 reasons. First of all, the poverty and the people starving is shocking, of course. But the fact that hundreds of thousands of people, literally hundreds of thousands of people, are going through it, and yet we're barely discussing it. It's like it doesn't exist. You know, the mass media ignore it, and so that's shocking as well. I mean, if we had a proper free press, you know, this would be top of everyone's agenda.
Yeah.
But we don't. We have a press controlled by either political appointments, as in the broadcasters, or big corporations for the press. And so, of course, it's not in the national consciousness as it should be.
That's why, I suppose, your speech pulled no punches after the BAFTAs. Of course, that's gone both ways with the press, which you'd expect, wouldn't you? Because some are going to be on side, some are not on side.
I mean, we've had some vicious attacks, really. I mean, the Mail particularly. I mean, the Mail, mind you, to be attacked by the Mail is a badge of honour. I mean, the Mail is the paper that supported the Nazis in the 30s, and they're still on the same political track. So to be attacked by the Mail, I'm proud of it. I mean, they're, you know, one of the wealthiest families in the land down in it. I mean, they are the enemy. They make no bones about it.
Of course, in Stoke, we're getting ready for a by-election, something that you must have heard a lot about.
Yes.
Because it's been quite a big talking point, because obviously UKIP want to get another seat in Parliament, Labour want to hold the seat. How important is it, you know, in your eyes?
Well, I mean, I'm here to support Labour. That's why I'm here, and I think I don't know the candidates, I won't talk about them, but I know the situation in this area a little, having been here a few times, and it's very similar to other areas that have been where the main industries have gone and people have been neglected and left behind. And what is different now is that the Labour Party has changed. This is not the Labour Party of Blair and Brown, or even Miliband, that lost Scotland and that lost seats. This is a new and a Labour Party that actually stands for the interests of working class people and understands them, and would invest public money in proper jobs, proper industries, not 0 hours, no security, real jobs. That's a commitment. They would change the benefit system so that it was It was fair, and it wasn't about punishment, it was about support. They'd really kicked the private contractors out of the health service. You know, who wants a health service that's in hock to Richard Branson? Does he need another island in the Caribbean? Surely we can look after ourselves without subcontracting to big private corporations. So for all these reasons, and housing, you know, real council houses like the Labour Party did under Nye Bevan. Now Corbyn and John McDonnell stand for that, and that's why it's really now the party of working class people, ordinary people. It's our party again.
Yeah.
It wasn't 20 years ago. I wouldn't have been here for Tony Blair. I'd have opposed him, but I'm here for Jeremy Corbyn. And it's very funny, you know, people talk about, is he strong enough? Well, just occasionally I get abuse in the press. Foul abuse. Jeremy Corbyn's had that for 18 months. And he's withstood it. You know, that needs real strength. It takes real strength to oppose when the leadership of your party stands for big business and illegal foreign wars. It takes real strength as a Labour MP to oppose that. Jeremy Corbyn's got, but make no mistake, he's a strong guy. He wouldn't have survived otherwise.
You spent a lot of time with him, obviously, the documentary and conversation, and that was one of my questions. Do you think he's got the ability to lead the country with a lot of people against him, a lot of people against his ideals? Do you think it's because they're scared of what he could bring to the party?
If he wasn't, it's because he's going to make real changes that they're opposed to him. That's why. Because he would cut back the power of the big corporations. Say, cut them out of the health service, cut them out of the transport, have a real integrated transport system that would include rural transport as well, something we don't talk about. So he's got the strength. I mean, the difficulty is, you know, I follow football, I don't know if you do.
Yeah.
But, right, well, if the team runs on down the pitch and before the ref blows the whistle, 2/3 of the team run back to the pavilion, you wouldn't score many goals, would you? That's what they did. The Labour MPs scarpered because they were afraid of what he'd do. Then the whistle blows and then a few more leave. And then they say, well, the captain's not strong enough. Well, bloody hell, the captain's still on the pitch. You know, sure, he's got strength, he just needs a decent team.
Yeah, of course. Let's bring you back to the film and Stoke as well, because you're in Stoke today to promote 2 films you're going to be playing today.
Yes.
One of them being I, Daniel Blake. But Stoke itself has got its own regional dialect. I know when you've made films all over the country, like the Yorkshire twang, you've picked up on all that and used it. And the Stoke dialect seems to be dying a little bit. I'd love it for somebody to come in here and make a film, including the dialect about the area and everything. So what tips could you give somebody who's up and coming in films to embrace the area? And
You've got to listen, really. It's about listening. And it's about getting the people in the films. You know, don't get people to do the accent. I think that, I mean, I'm from the Midlands too.
Yeah.
I'm from Nuneaton, and our accent is very subtle. It's a bit Gary Lineker, but it's edging towards Birmingham, Coventry, between Leicester and Coventry. It's very subtle, and I think that's what makes it hard to do. See, you can't get people to do the accent because they'll do a general northern thing, which of course is not right at all.
No.
It's quite wrong. So you've got to get people from the area and because that's who they are. And of course you will always find talented people. That's one thing I've found. Never a shortage of talent.
Yeah, there's loads of talent in Stoke. It's just that we've only had a few films. There's a guy who I know called John Williams who made a lot of horror films in Stoke. You know, he's picked up in his own genre, but there hasn't been that many films filmed in Stoke that are probably not about Northern Soul music. I think that's been one of the things. So it would be great. But yeah, you're here today, of course. To speak to some people. You have a question and answer session later on?
A discussion session.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to hear what people think as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not, I mean, you won't have time to hang around us with, would you? But I mean, the first one we're doing is what the Labour Party achieved in 1945 know, with the health service, with council housing, with public ownership of the pits and regenerating the area after the war. And the point of it is that we won the war together. You couldn't win the war when you were divided. You had to win the war together. And the feeling was, we won the war together, let's win the peace together.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got to rediscover. And it's only Labour that can do it. UKIP won't. You know, we'll be fighting each other under UKIP. So that's really important. And I just hope people remember that what we do together, we can only do it with Labour. I don't know about individual candidates, it's the movement under Jeremy Corbyn, the social movement, that I think is important.
Well, thank you, Ken, and enjoy your time in Stoke.
All right, thanks a lot.